Namaskar. Welcome to Prakash on Basics. I'm Prakash Zog. One of the biggest gifts of the Puranic Dharma to Hinduism has been the concept and the ideas related to bhakti. In fact, much later, it even started a very big following known as the bhakti movement. It has constantly grown since its conception. It's a major part of Hindu religion. It has actually changed the outlook of all Hindus everywhere around. It has grown beyond the boundaries of religion. Bhakti is there in all religions, but nowhere has it been so prominent, so well studied, so well explained by a number of people. It has really gone beyond religion. Today, let's try and understand its beginning, its meaning, its various forms as a first stage. In simplest of words, bhakti is unwavering devotion. It is an inner feeling, a personal realization. It is a mental state, more of an emotion. Bhakti is one of the nine rasas, navaras as it is called, nine emotions. The word rasa also means essence or juice. So it is truly the essence of religious following. Uh, it can actually find its expression in the form of another term which is known as upasana. The written information or the textual information of the Vedic upasana was first given by Angiras. That's pretty difficult. Then came the Shandilya Bhakti Sutra. That's equally complex. So most of the people follow all the ideas that are expressed in the Narada Bhakti Sutra, the simplest of it. Narad means giver of a liquid or water in the form of knowledge and bhakti. Narad is the meaning of the term itself. Actually, he is the one who brought Valmiki, uh, Prahlad, and Dhruva on Bhakti Marg, who are among the top people contributing to the Bhakti aspect. He has been entrusted uh, to spread Hari Bhakti by his father Brahmadev, because Narada is believed to be the Manasputra or the son of Brahmadev himself. It's not just this. Narada is a major contributor to the Hindu thought also. He is a mantra drashta, a visualizer of mantras in Rigveda. He has the Narad Parivrajak Upanishad. We've also heard of the Narad Puran and the Narada Smriti, the texts related to laws and law books. And then there is Narada Shiksha, which is a part of Vedanga. And he is supposed to have passed on the Narad Sangeet Makarand, a text on the musical aspects followed in India. And then he is also the originator of the Pancharatra or the Pancharatra concept associated with the prayers of Vishnu. This bhakti that we are going to talk of today has its own levels, a variety of ways in which they are classified. a variety of ways based on achievements. The number of definitions, interpretations, meanings collectively help us to understand the true nature of what bhakti is. One is expected to gradually mature along these steps, preferably without skipping any of these. Uh, in this form, it is more like the Vedas. You start with the Karma Kand, then go to the Jnana Kand. You start with the Saguna, that is the one with attributes, and you move on to Nirguna, the state without attributes of the great Lord. In these descriptions, um, in the Narad Bhakti Sutra and corresponding text, Bhakti has three aspects. The first part is Bhagat Bhakti, which means I am a part or I belong to Him, the Lord, of course, in some form of a relation or an interaction with Him. The simplest, this also has been categorized. It could be what is known as Vatsalya Bhakti, the attachment that you have towards your siblings and towards your children, uh, more towards the child. But it could be beyond that also. It could be an attachment that is developed similar. For example, this I miss him because I am at a place where that small statue that is there next to me is not there today. And I miss him, his statue, like my own child. Because at home I could well move around like my own kid around with him sometime. So that's one form which a mother has towards her child. Then there is Sakhya, which means more like a friend, the relation between Sudama and Krishna, or that relation that many of us have towards our friends gets modified towards the Lord also. Then there is Madhura Bhakti, the bhakti that is expressed in the relations between Krishna and gopis, Krishna and Radha. It has been depicted very well by Jayadev, the 12th century exponent of the 𝘠𝘠𝘭𝘓. He's put it down in the Ashtapadi, in the Ashtanayika, and so many other forms. And then the fourth pattern is Dasya, total, dedicated, strong Bhakta who is more of a servant like Hanuman, fully capable but still permanently attached to the Lord. Actually, Bhakti undergoes transition from Dvaita to Advaita, dualism, God and me, and non-dualism, where we are both. There is no we are the same. Then there is a second category. It is known as Bhajanat Bhakti. Bhaja is to pray, which is offering services to the Lord. This has been expressed in what is known as the Navavidha Bhakti, the 9 forms. It is the prayer mode of bhakti, the service mode of bhakti. It has been proposed by Prahlad, the greatest of devotees, when his father asked him, where do you see all this Hari and in what form do you pray to him? And then he describes what is known as the Navavidha Bhakti. The first is Shravana, listening to God's greatness with devotion. Then there is Kirtana, which is the technical term for it is eulogizing. Eulogy is narrating tales of his greatness to others. And then there is Smarana, remembering, recollecting his great deeds. Um, then there is Sevana. Sometimes it is also known as Pada Sevana, serving usually the idol, either at home or in a temple or someplace. Uh, then there is the dasya that I mentioned some time back, surrendering, more like a servant to the idol or to the temple or to the activities around. Then comes archana, that is worshipping. This is usually in the form of a term that is very typical of Hinduism. It is known as arati, prayers of praise, usually daily in the evenings or sometimes in the mornings also. They are specifically composed for a particular deity and recited either individually or in groups. Uh, then there is Vandana, which deals with salutations. Sakhya is that friendship mode, which is also to be developed in the Navavid Bhakti, like Sudama, or it could even be like a relation that develops between Ram and Sugriv, where there is an equal importance to each other. Then there is the last one, Arpana, dedicating everything, offering everything. All is His. Everything, my achievements, my good, my bad, my sorrows, my grief, my love, my affection, everything is because of Him, and it is Him itself. And these are then the 9 steps that are talked of. Nava Vidha Bhakti. Sometimes two terms are also used along with this. They are referred to Atma Nivedana, that is, talking to Him, communicating to Him, talking to Him as if He is a person in front of you. And Prapatti, which is total submission. Then the third category, that is known as Bhanjanat Bhakti. To break all other boundaries, attachments of the samsara, to overcome all the defects, the षड्रिपुs, rag, lobh, moh, mad, matsar, and others, anger, coveting, envy, jealousy, cravings. All these bonds are to be broken once you go to the resort of bhakti. So bhakti is the one that provides you all this. It helps you to eliminate everything that is there in the form of attachments in you. Bhakti, as I said, can be categorized in so many different ways. There is another pattern. It talks of para-bhakti, that is the bhakti beyond, and that is the ultimate stage. And the apara bhakti, which means you are on this side of the bank. And this apara bhakti itself has been split into 2 forms: the gauna bhakti and the mukhya bhakti. And all these categorizations are going to overlap. Uh, Gauna bhakti is the earliest step. It is the typical mechanical routine form that many of us follow and believe to be bhakti itself. The routine prayers, the Shodapachar puja, visiting the temple every day, chanting the name of the Lord or his Om Namah Shivaya or something of this sort, 100 times, 101 times, 108 times, 1,000 times. This is typically referred to as the japa. Use a rosary to keep track of the number, that's all. Gaun basically means inferior. But all learned people, including Shankaracharya, believe that it is a primary and an essential step in bhakti. It is something that cannot be missed out. It gets you into the habit of being attached to the Lord. It is a preparatory period, you might say, which is followed, of course, by the next one, which is known as bhakti, which is mukhya bhakti. It is when you are mentally involved and engrossed in every activity that you do in the Gauna Bhakti. If you're offering food as a naivedyam to the Lord. You want it to be warm enough for him to eat, not too hot, not too cold. You want it to be of the right texture. You want the water that you offer to him of the right temperature. As if he is a part and parcel of your family or your house member itself. Everything is to be done with utter care and attachment. It's like what is given to you served in a hotel, and when your grandmother is running after you with morsels of food. That's the difference between the two of them. That's the difference between Gauna Bhakti and Mukhya Bhakti. It may not be as elaborate as as spread out like what you have in the hotel, but the involvement that she has for you exceeds all bounds. That is what really matters. And then Parabhakti. It is the beyond, the ultimate, the undescribable to many of them. Uh, it is love, it is affection, it is attachment, it is Advaita. One feels to be indistinguishable from the Lord Himself. There are no desires that are left, no expectations. There's only bliss. It is known as Parama Prem. And the other word that is used along with it is Otaprot, drenched in and out in bliss. It's a personal, indescribable experience, as people tell us. It's like a baby meeting its mother after a long separation. That joy is something that the child cannot express. And it is there and everybody else can notice. Parabhakti is beyond attributes. It is what is known as Gunatit, Kamana Rahit, without desires, and it is always uninterrupted. It is very subtle, increasing in intensity at every second and moment. It's something that causes a loss of identification of oneself. And it does not really follow logic at all. At the highest levels, all material consciousness and behavior norms are lost in either a trance, and some go about and dance, and some laugh, and some cry, and some sing, and some remain quiet. And what moods you express, it depends upon your state. Nobody else can tell you what happens and what would happen. To forget oneself, the world around you, and immerse oneself in the joy of his memories is what bhakti is. The true nature of parabhakti is beyond words. Bliss, satisfaction, total contentedness, put all of them together. That's what it is. And then it is believed that it comes only through personal or a self experience. It's not something that can be told to you. This bhakti can be classified in so many other ways. It could be classified as a kaik bhakti, which means physical form of bhakti. Uh, Fasting or performing vratas. Vrata is a commitment of a particular action or a behavior norm that you would follow as a routine practice. It could be vachik, which is verbal. It could be in the form of the prayers that we talked of, or the chanting that I mentioned, using a rosary or something of this sort, namajap as it is called. Or it could be without expression of words. It is only a mental state, which is manasik, that is meditation. It could also be laukik, that is the one that is of all this material world around us. It could be Vedic, associated with the multitude of rituals that have been specified in the Vedas. Or it could be Adhyatmic, the one that is innermost, of attaching Atma, that is yourself, to him. But in all of them, prapatti is expected. Absolute self-surrender to his love, to his affection, and into his meditation. One of the greatest achievements that is talked of is mukti. But when you talk of mukti, the bhaktas, the great ones, say that I don't want mukti because once I get mukti, I'll be free of everything. And I don't want to be free of my bhakti for him, my attachment for him, this pleasure of thinking about him. Ideally, bhakti is unconditional. Uh, Not only bhakti, but the devotion concept itself. Because many a times people perform bhakti with a kamana, that is a desire. Oh Lord, let me get this, and I'll come and perform so many things. And I'm performing all this because I expected a big house, or a great job, or a blessing in the form of a son, or health issues. In all these, where there is kamana, there is desire, you are actually a bhakta of the desire, of the kamana. You are not a bhakta of the Lord. You are using Lord as a method to get your true goals, your true kamanas, your true desires. So, bhakti must be nishkama bhakti, free of all desires, only for the sake of bhakti, only for the sake of his love. And that's what bhakti is. But it's not only bhakti that matters, because Hinduism talks of the bhaktas also. We need to know them and understand what the bhaktas are, what is expected of the bhaktas. That too is a major aspect. But I'll come to that next time. If you've liked whatever I have said, pass on this information to your friends, to your dear ones. Get into the mode of bhakti in its true spirit and true method. Till I come back with one more aspect of bhakti. Namaskar.